Come on, man. Shout out to 6 Feet Apart Podcast. Come on, we living life. Come on, let's go.
Welcome back to the 6 Feet Apart Podcast. I'm Lemon Boy, and today we're going to talk about deepfake, AI, and Bill C-11. There's a lot of things going on right now in the internet space that I think are really, really interesting and is going to shape the future of how we see the internet as a whole. I wonder just how educated people are on the streets of Toronto on these hot button subjects, and I also want to see how much I can actually manipulate their image and their voice just from the images that I capture today. Do you want to have a seat? Are you interested in being a guest? Do you want to have a seat? Have a seat, we can talk about it. What's your name?
My name's Simeon.
Simeon, nice to meet you. My name's Stevan.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. How familiar are you with AI and the future of technology right now on the internet?
I mean, I'm a little bit behind, but I do study cognitive science and psychology, so I understand a little bit about what you guys are talking about.
Okay, have you heard of like OpenAI, ChatGPT, DALL-E, and all those programs that are out right now? What are your thoughts on them?
I think it'd be a very good thing to improve, I guess, our way of thinking, because I think what I really enjoy about ChatGPT is the idea that you could actually, I guess for like, let's say like STEM fields like mathematics or philosophy or logic, there's a few things it does right, but I think when it comes to, let's say, more about the humanities, I think that's where it gets wrong. So stuff like science, math, biology, I think it has that correct.
So you think it's just like a super strong calculator?
More or less, yeah. At least when it comes to that type of education, yeah.
I saw today this random ChatGPT like TikTok. My girlfriend showed it to me, and essentially this person taught ChatGPT how to be a cat. Like essentially the person was like, if I put you in a person, could I pet you? If I put you like in a physical object, could I pet you? And ChatGPT was like, well, I just exist on the internet and that's like what I am. And then it taught it that if you put an asterisk in front of a word, that's like an action, a simulated action, like online. So if you put like pet's head, asterisk, we know that as humans as like that's an action that you're simulating, right? The same way that you would send an emoji or whatever, we're trying to communicate kind of in an imaginary space in a world. The person was actually able to teach ChatGPT about that whole interaction, and then it started to behave and like respond with those actions in mind. So she would write like, thanks ChatGPT, pat's head, and then ChatGPT would be like, you're very welcome, purrs happily, and it would start to communicate in that way. So I wonder if you started to train it on humanitarian decisions, let's say that you have a government, right? Instead of having all the people in government come together to make a decision, and you would just be like, hey ChatGPT, what do you think we should do in this situation? And it would just give you an answer. Would you be okay with that?
I think if there's a combination between human choice and ChatGPT, I think that's how we can make a better informed decision. Definitely not one or the other in that case. I mean, I understand we're like the only general intelligence actually making our own decisions because that's the only intelligence we have. It'd be very interesting if ChatGPT is actually at that human level, because I understand, because I do study this type of field already in the type of artificial general intelligence, because that's what we actually call it. I mean, honestly, you do have to start somewhere. Obviously, right now, we're not at that level, but I suppose if it is able to pass all the Turing tests, perhaps, maybe it might be an interesting proposition, but I'd say we're about 200 years more into the future rather for that level.
Interesting. Yeah, I always wonder, like, are we 200 years away, or is it like exponential growth where next month it'll just be like, hey, we came up with a new AI, and then that AI came up with a new AI, and now we've got like the super AI, and something that should have been 200 years ago is like 4 years now, and then 2 years ahead, and then next thing you know, it's like it just is.
I would agree that if it can be exponential growth, but I will say though, I guess what my stance is that like if the artificial general intelligence really is of the what we call quote unquote the god level intelligence, that doesn't actually exist. But I guess we can use Ultron as an example. If it's at that high intelligence level, but not to like if it can make really good informed decisions, okay, I'm willing to concede. So long as, because like if it's at that level, then I guess we should be able to have, I guess, an intellectual conversation is what I guess that's what I'd be looking forward to, if anything.
And then at some level, like, we have to have trust. The same way that you have trust to sit down and have a conversation with me, you know I'm not going to do damage, or at least you hope that I'm not going to do any damage to you. Then we have to put our faith into this machine. It's like, hey, ChatGPT, I'm going to, well, the same way that you put your faith into like GPS, right? You're like, I want to go to said destination, you get in your car, at this point in time, like, you don't even pay attention to the roads. You just follow the map, and then you're like, okay, I have to turn left here, I gotta turn right here. Some people, they don't even know the names of the roads. They don't know exactly where they're going. They just put their faith in the machine. I don't know if I'm afraid of that or if I like accept it, but it sounds like there will be a future where we will kind of symbiotically make decisions with machines.
Absolutely, I agree. And I think what's going to be a learning curve for a lot of people is literally, as you just mentioned, the acceptance of using this intelligent being to actually help us make better informed decisions. I mean, that's the same thing with the inception of computers to even begin with, right? I mean, without computers, we wouldn't even have all of this stuff. I wouldn't be talking to you.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, I think once we learn how to live with it and accept it, I always stand by. As long as you don't have a Terminator, I guess I'm fine with it.
I will be John Connor. AI is going down.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely.
I have another question for you. Are you familiar with deepfake technology?
I do know of it, yeah, no, because so what it does, like, it takes a picture of a person and like makes a deepfake of it to make it almost look like as if it is that real video, right?
Yeah, so at this point, the technology is actually able to essentially, like, if I want to make Joe Rogan talk about the podcast as like a marketing tool, not just his face, I can literally manipulate his podcast picture, because everybody knows what it looks like now, and manipulate his voice, because there's hours and hours and hours of his voice being used, and I could just make Joe Rogan be like, the 6 Feet Apart podcast is the greatest podcast on the planet. What do you think about us having the ability to do something like that?
I'm actually more afraid of the deepfakes than the ChatGPT, actually, if I'm going to be fairly honest, because deepfakes actually has the potential to do, as you just mentioned, nefarious reasons. And so like, what you just talked about was of a low scale, but if you imagine the political implications, that actually has a bigger, as I just mentioned, bigger implications. Like, for instance, you can make a deep fake of our presidents or like our prime ministers as an example. Like I said, I'm more afraid of a deep fake than ChatGPT, because what you're seeing online, you're online anyway, and that in itself is already a crazy big web of chaos to begin with.
Do you mind if we go a step deeper?
Well, what would that be?
Okay, you know how we all have phones now, right?
Sure.
And all of our phones have front-facing cameras?
Yes.
And they've got like LiDAR scanners so it can scan your face and everything.
Scans the face. Yeah.
Imagine if every single advertisement that we watched, so like those advertisements there or up there or on your phone, instead of having actors and other people in them, it had you. So every single product that was being sold to you was painted in a narrative where you yourself are going through a series of issues, and it's literally reflecting your life like you're watching a vlog, and it's like the only thing that you need to solve this problem is this product, and everything's gonna be much better.
Sorry, you mind rephrasing that a little bit one more time? Because I think I might have the conceptual idea, but it's more like, am I afraid of advertisements being more directed, like my data being stolen? Is that the question?
No, literally, like when you watch a video of, let's say you've got an Apple Watch right now, and then we have this footage of you on the podcast, and I notice that your hands are a little cold. The next time that you go on your phone, you see an advertisement, and it's a video of you on the podcast. Literally you on the podcast, and it zooms in on your hands, and it's like, hey Simon, your hands were cold then. You know what would solve that problem? Check out these gloves. And then it shows another video of you sitting there looking at your new gloves, and you pointing at the down screen to buy it. Instead of it being an actor, it's literally you selling to yourself.
Oh, okay, I think now I'm starting to understand. So I'm looking at a video, right, and I see myself
Talking to you
Talking to
about
myself.
what you need to do. Like, hey buddy, why are we doing that to ourselves?
Oh, so you're referring to the idea of the power of suggestion, is that right? But from an advertisement perspective, right? If I'm gonna be honest, personally speaking, that wouldn't bother me actually.
It wouldn't bug you at all?
No, not really. That's only me personally speaking, because I do a lot of live streams anyway, so I mean, I see myself relatively in that sense.
Oh, you're a live streamer?
Yeah, I play a lot of piano actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What got you into playing piano?
Long story short, God saved my life through both music and tennis, because I'm also a tennis coach by trade.
That's incredible.
I'm actually a very introverted person, actually. Not gonna lie. I know it doesn't look like it, but like that's how God changed my life through both piano and tennis. Because like tennis, I was supposed to talk to people, being a tennis coach, and so that's why like how God taught me a lot of values. That's how I was able to change my life around.
You attribute a lot of your success to God. Why is that?
Well, because without God, I would live my life, I guess, very materialistic. So like I either hook up with girls, money, drugs. Like, without God, I wouldn't have an objective standard of morality, and that is a very important thing for me because I felt a lot of injustice through my own life, a lot of bullying, a lot of hatred, and I just started to realize being a very negative person just brings you down, right? And so I'd rather be a much more positive person and use my music to change other people's lives.
But why do you need God to do that? You can't just do that with your own free will.
Have you ever heard of Pascal's gamble?
I actually haven't.
So Pascal's gamble, because I like a lot of mathematics, so basically what it basically explains is that if there was even 1% of a chance that God would exist, is in your best interest to believe in God, because if God truly does exist, there really is a heaven and a hell, and I don't want to be damned to hell, as a mathematical proof. But it's not a full proof, I will admit to that.
But don't fire smell nice?
No.
I tried, I'm sorry.
I get you, mate. No, but nice try, mate. Yeah.
Okay, so needless to say, you don't masturbate.
I think most guys, I'm a sinner. We all recognize the sinful nature. I'm not fully perfect, but that is kind of I guess what we call God's grace in that respect. And that, like, what we try to do is, of course, we try to abstain from it, but of course, when it happens, we apologize to God and we confess. I think that type of growth and level of maturity is what separates us from other people.
That's awesome. I like that perspective. The reason I bring it up is back to the deepfakes. If Pornhub added a feature where you could upload your video of your face just doing this, right? And get all angles.
Sure.
And then every single porn that you watched going forward, instead of having another male figure in it, it was you having sex or sexual intercourse with the actors. Would that be something that you would use as a feature, even if, like, let's say it was free? I know this is a crazy question.
No, but I think I like how you're trying to flip it towards the same with the deep fake in a sense. So I guess what I'm trying to explain is, if somehow my image was being used, but I obviously didn't do it, then obviously that'd be a lie in itself. Of course, I wouldn't approve of a lie. But let's say if it was like a product that was, like, say, something that was trying to, I guess, more like a positive type of help, I think that's a little bit different. But as you mentioned with the pornography example, like, if that was being used and being broadcast all over the place.
No, I mean consensually, only you. So you log into your profile, and then you press a button, kind of like dark mode, and instead of seeing all of these male actors, it would just be your face. And then you're trying to simulate an experience, right? You're hoping, or at least you want to believe that you're kind of
the one in the video?
in the video. The technology exists today to put you in there. Would you use it?
That's weird, but no.
See, I think that Pornhub should think about this and start monetizing. Because as screwed up as it sounds, preying on, like, the mental health of men, because I think it's right. When I masturbate, I have deep shame and guilt associated with it. I don't know why, it just happens. It's like a natural instinct. You jerk off, you bust your load into, like, the toilet, and then at the end of the day, you're like, shit, why did I do that? Right? So you go to God and you confess your sins and you're like, why did I do that? Please don't let me do that. But if the product is good, it's gonna be used. I'm a devil's advocate kind of person. So if I'm trying to optimize a product, I think it's very interesting. Recently, there was this, like, big news drama. There was, like, a content creator, her name's Cutie Cinderella. Someone used her image to create deepfake porn without her consent. And then another streamer essentially watched it, and they saw that he was watching it in his tabs, and then he got destroyed for it, and so on and so. So when I hear that news, everyone's always like, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, and I hear that, right? I understand that if someone is taking your image without consent, that's a very disgusting kind of thing, because you're taking my subject matter. You can use me right now and put me in porn if you want to watch that, and you have the ability to do it. But if you flip it and you make it consensual, and you allow people to upload their own image with their own choice, and no one gets to see that other than that user, I think that's actually kind of valuable. You take something that is now negative and make it a positive. Though it might make them more addicted, so I have no idea. That was a long, rambly explanation. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That is an interesting thought experiment, because basically what you're explaining, it's good that you use that particular example, I guess, because sometimes you got to use some of the extreme cases to better understand and flesh out the actual idea. Oddly as that sounds, I guess, in that subject, consensual, that you're using your own image, but only you're seeing it, and not being sold as a product, like literally for your own personal use, I guess, technically speaking, that would be correct in a sense, technically speaking.
And I think that it would actually be kind of fair. Like, hey, $2, do this thing, you can access this feature. And I think that they would be rich. I think it's like an instant flip for, like, a couple $1 million. Considering the like OnlyFans environment and so on and so forth, like now it's like an OnlyFans creator potentially could be like, you get a sexual experience with me and it's just simulated.
I'm not trying to change the subject, but it's more like I'm just trying to understand. If you only speak towards that particular subject of pornography, then okay, I guess that's technically valid, but I don't think that would fly for the other kind of subjects or products per se.
Okay, let's do it this way. You know how people make mood boards for their future? Imagine if you could do that, but now put yourself in those screenshots and like materialize it more. It's like fake it till you make it to the most extent.
I think the only reason why the pornographic or even that type of industry is a little bit more compelling because I could technically understand at least the mindset of it. At least when it comes to the other industry, I think that's when it gets a little bit more questionable, or at least a little bit easier to, I guess, monetize or control. But at least when it comes to the pornography industry, honestly, that's actually its own monster in of itself. I mean, I don't condone it, but nevertheless, I understand its particular presuppositions.
It works.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't like it, but I guess what I'm saying is that in terms of like a pragmatical use, I mean, I can understand at least the functionality of like masturbation or even like that type of stress reliever. I mean, it does neurologically.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
What's that, man?
You're dressed like a Christmas tree.
A what?
A Christmas tree.
Christmas tree. Okay.
Yes,
Cheers,
sir.
mate.
What does that have to do with anything?
Dressed like a Christmas tree. Huh?
All right, mate.
What does it have to do with anything?
Why would you say that to him?
Why?
Yeah. What does that? What does that add to the?
Nigga, look at him. Look how he's dressed. What are you talking about?
How are you dressed? What do you
How
think?
am I dressed?
Yeah.
I'm dressed like a black man. Come on, man. Shout out to 6 Feet Apart Podcast. Come on, we living life.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, let's go. It's love, baby. It's love, always.
Mario, do you
All right?
masturbate?
Everybody masturbates. What are you talking about, bro?
Okay, if you could
Male
go.
and female, we all
Let me
fucking
ask you just a
masturbate.
quick question.
Why are we all here? How do you know that? Do you know that? What are you talking about?
Let me ask you something. If you
go
could
ahead.
go on Pornhub and change every man's image to your image, would you do it?
No comment.
Y'all heard? I'm now the king of indigenous
You might
people
wanna move
in
the
this
mic.
country.
Are you
And
sure
if
you want
anybody
it?
challenges me to the throne of native king, come get me.
All hail the king of indigenous people. Thank you. All right, back to what we were talking about.
I mean, I don't want it to be in the pornography business, but nevertheless, I mean, it could technically work. No, I would agree on that point.
I'm going to let you go, but before you go, is there anywhere that people can find you? Is there any work you're doing that, like your live stream? Where can people find you if they want to watch you play piano?
So my Instagram is called Piano by Sim.
Shout out to Piano by Sim. Make sure to follow him on Instagram because his takes were awesome. I really appreciated your time. Thank you.
All right. Pleasure,
Have a good night, man.
You too.
You
Thanks
too.
again.
What's your name?
My name is Zaina.
Zeta, nice to meet you. My name's Stevan. I'm going to talk to you about a few things, and I'll actually let you choose what we talk about.
Okay.
So we can talk about AI, we can talk about deepfakes, or we can talk about the Canadian government and this bill it's trying to pass concerning creators.
Let's do deepfakes.
Okay, fun. I'm super excited about this topic. Are you a big like content creator watcher?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What kind of platforms do you watch content on?
Twitch and YouTube.
Are you familiar with Cutie Cinderella?
Oh yeah, I know the whole situation.
Okay, but let's talk about the morality of it all. Is it actually fucked? And why?
It is very fucked.
Okay, tell me about it.
Paying for explicit content like that, especially ones where your friends are being sexualized without your consent.
Okay, but what if it's not my friend? Or like, I'm attracted to you, let's say, and I want to use your image and I want to see you like having sex and I want to think of you like with the noises and stuff, and you don't consent to us having that relationship, but I have the means to obtain that relationship using artificial technology. Is it wrong for me to pursue that so that I can live my best life and have that experience? Even if you don't know about it, is it wrong?
Morally, it's very, very wrong. Especially if I don't consent to, a relationship like that. I don't even want to imagine it happening to me. I would not even wish that on my worst enemy, honestly. The whole thing, if it is never your intention for your face to be out there, be put on content like that, used for stuff like this, I think it's very illegal. I don't know.
I actually don't know what the laws are, but now I'm going to switch the scenario and I want to see if you still think it's immoral, okay? So I tend to agree with you. If you took my image right now and you had me dogging some girl just because you wanted to watch it, without me getting a cut, I'd be pretty upset about it, all right? I'd be like, what the hell? I get it. You like me, and that's cool, like, right? I kind of find it flattering. But to some degree, I'd kind of be pissed off. Like, okay, if you posted it on Pornhub or some sort of monetary platform, and you're watching it and enjoying yourself to it, why am I not getting a cut? You know, people be people. Like, if an artist takes my image and draws me naked, what's the difference? That's why I kind of don't agree with it, but I can play devil's advocate. I think it's wrong that it's an unconsensual relationship. But what if Pornhub made a feature so that you can upload your own picture or a video of you, right? You give it all the angles. And then every thumbnail and every video that you watch, instead of it being another woman that's having sexual experiences, it's your face in it now. And you consent to it. Is that a feature that you think is okay?
I mean, yeah, if like someone consents to it, but like Cutie Cinderella's situation, it was like she did not know about it until like it was just out there. She did not just want her business, even though it's not technically her. It's still her face in these videos, and she did not consent to it. Like, it's just weird in general, but it's just like, if you consent to it, I guess, sure.
Yeah, because there's like, you can have like VR goggles on and like be in a first-person perspective, but now have a third-person perspective where you're having sex with these people. Is that something that you would pay for, though? Like, would you not use that?
Personally, no. If there's a mirror, when I have sex, I turn off the lights. I'm like, yo, we're not having sex unless there's like no light at all.
Have you met people that would use it though?
Probably.
Like some narcissistic
I'm a
fuck.
sorority girl. I have a lot of frat friends who would love watching themselves just, you know.
Okay, so that technology exists today.
It does?
Yeah.
Wait, for real?
Do you have any questions for me?
Would you?
I think I'd try it.
You would?
Yeah, but I'm a curious person. Like, I wouldn't do it because it's something that I'm innately, like, I would want to do, but it's because I would want to see how good it is. Like, I'm just fucked up like that. I'm curious. I'd be like, okay, are all the angles good? Like, how deep into the porn do I have to be? Like, if somebody goes over the face, like, am I going to see the masking? But I work in production, so for me, it would be more like reverse engineering and seeing if it's like a good product versus using it to masturbate. But I would do it, 100%. The technology exists right now, and I'm going to do it. Joe Rogan is going to talk about this podcast episode and promote it. Yeah. But it's not going to be him. I'm going to manipulate his voice and his image, and he's going to be like, the dopest podcast just came out, and it's called the 6 Feet Apart Podcast.
That's scary, but it's sick.
Now, did you know that I could take your image today and have you do anything that I want?
But see, I'm like the most chillaxed person. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Would you want the government to regulate it so that that can't happen?
With consent?
That's a really good question. So it does matter for you, right? No, I mean, like, if there was a bill that was going to be passed, that's like, we can ban deepfake usage, because at the end of the day, if media, I mean, yeah.
His butt crack was out earlier.
If you can't tell what media is real and not, like, how fucked up is that for your people?
How fucked up is your balls for your dick?
You gotta let the chaos in.
Yeah, what were we saying?
Essentially, if you could stop deepfake technology from existing with the thought premise, I know you don't care, but think about it for a second. If I could take this show and manipulate you to say anything that I wanted for you to say and so on and so forth, I can essentially lie to the world and create a world that doesn't exist. And then not tell anyone that it doesn't exist, and people will perceive it as true.
I don't like that.
All right, that's what I thought.
That's scary.
Yeah. And that's the path that we're living. To the point where I think that one day, every advertisement that you watch, instead of having actors in it, it'll have you in it.
I love clout. I love shit like that, so I'd be like, ooh, me.
Yeah, but you're the only one that sees it.
Whatever. I lie about everything anyway. I lied about my age in high school. I'm just a year younger than everyone. I graduated high school early. Like, I skipped a year, so I was just like, I told everyone I was a year older than I actually was.
Why did you do that?
Because it would make sense that I'd be the same age as them, but I was a year younger.
Why not just tell the truth? Like, then you have to carry the burden of the lie and then get anxious about it. And when everybody asks you something, you have that skip in your mind where it's like, hey, how old are you, Zeta? And you're like,
Well, why not?
I don't know.
I moved to Canada, and I feel like I just skipped past whatever I did in high school, and I'm like, yeah, I'm actually 21, you know what I mean? To them, I'm 22 right now, but they don't gotta know that.
They don't need to know.
No.
Zeta, where can people find you?
On Instagram, it's Rice Grains, but Grains has 2 I's, so it's RICEGRAIINS.
Shout out to Rice Grains on Instagram. Zeta, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Boom.
Hey
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see the full uncut versions of all of the episodes, you can always check them out on Patreon at 6 Feet Apart Podcast.
I hate it here.